All right, so today we're diving into something I'm really curious about, dairy product manufacturing. Been checking out this platform, RoleCatcher, and let me tell you, they've got some intriguing stuff. The AI interview prep alone, that's next level. But before we get lost in the tech, let's talk dairy.
And there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, right?
Yeah.
When people think dairy, it's often like cows on a farm, pretty straightforward. But in reality, it's this huge industry from those small family farms to, honestly, massive processing plants. And the technology involved in those plants is pretty mind-blowing.
So not just milk pails and overalls then.
No way. I mean, tradition is definitely part of it, but there's this huge emphasis now on like technology, especially for safety and quality control.
Yeah.
Everything, literally everything from the farm to that carton in your fridge involves these really specific processes.
Which makes sense, especially with all the, what are they calling them, plant-based alternatives popping up? I saw a RoleCatcher actually had some insights into that whole trend.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. It's not just about, soy milk versus regular milk anymore. It's pushing the industry to get creative, think outside the carton, so to speak.
So they're having to up their game, innovate to stay relevant.
Exactly. RoleCatcher actually highlighted how some companies are developing these like totally new dairy-based products.
Yeah.
Using new tech, new formulas, the whole shebang.
That's pretty cool. But okay, before we get too far ahead, let's go back to factory floor, so to speak. What's it actually like to work in one of these dairy processing plants? Because RoleCatcher, they didn't sugarcoat it, let me tell you.
It's definitely not your typical office job. Long hours, often in cold, sometimes even damp environments.
And let's be real, sometimes there's going to be some interesting smells.
Yeah, you got to be okay with that. But that being said, it's where that kind of traditional idea of food production meets, like the 21st century.
RoleCatcher mentioned automation, even robotics, which you wouldn't think dairy.
Right. These places are becoming increasingly automated, and it's fascinating to see how they use tech for everything. I mean, we're talking pasteurization, packaging, you name it.
So how does all that tech play into the day-to-day for someone working there?
Ah, that's a great question, and it leads perfectly into the core tasks of a dairy products manufacturing worker, which, if you're game, we can dive into next.
So, like, paint me a picture. We're on the factory floor, surrounded by all this high-tech gear. What's our day actually look like?
Well, get ready to use both your brain and your muscles.
Yeah.
You can be running a pasteurizer 1 minute, making sure the milk is heated just right to get rid of any nasty bacteria.
Right, got to keep things safe.
Exactly. Then the next, you might be over at the homogenizer, making sure the milk has that like smooth, consistent texture we're all used to.
Huh, never realized how much goes into getting that perfect milk look in the grocery store.
Oh, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, believe me. And that's just the start. We're talking separating, culturing, churning, packaging. Each product, your milk, yogurt, cheese, whatever, it all has its own little journey through the
It
plant.
sounds like you got to be a bit of a multitasker, a jack of all trades.
Pretty much. And you need to be able to troubleshoot on the fly because, hey, machines have a mind of their own sometimes.
Speaking of learning the ropes, RoleCatcher mentioned this whole career progression thing. Is this a job where you can actually, like, climb the ladder?
That's one of the things that impressed me. They lay out this whole path from entry level all the way to senior positions.
So it's not just like clocking in, doing the same thing day after day.
Nah, you can gain experience, take on more responsibility, maybe even end up operating those really complex machines.
Even train the newbies, right? Become the dairy Yoda.
Exactly. Pass on that wisdom. And hey, maybe you discover you have a knack for, I don't know, cheese making.
Yeah.
You could specialize, become the go-to cheese guru in the plant.
Now that's what I'm talking about. From factory floor to master cheesemaker.
Like it happens. Or maybe you're more drawn to the science side of things. You could transition into quality control, make sure everything's up to snuff.
It's like having that base knowledge of the whole process can really open some doors, huh?
Totally. It gives you options, which is never a bad thing. But no matter what path you choose, one thing's for sure. You got to keep learning.
The dairy industry is not exactly standing still, is it?
Not at all. New tech, new regulations, people changing what they want. It's constantly evolving.
So how do you stay ahead of the game?
RoleCatcher had some good advice on that.
Yeah, they mentioned like courses, certifications, all that jazz.
Right. They even talked about this dairy processing management certification, which sounds intense.
That's for those who want to like run the whole show, right?
Very much. Become the big cheese, literally.
Speaking of resources, can we talk about RoleCatcher's interview prep stuff? I mean, I was blown away by that. Seriously, that AI feedback thing, that's got to be a game changer for people.
Oh, for sure. It's
Yeah.
like having a virtual career coach in your pocket.
Totally. And they have this huge library of practice interview questions, which, let's be honest, those can be intimidating.
Oh, yeah, especially in this field, where there's the technical side of things.
Exactly.
But RoleCatcher, they don't just, like, throw questions at you and leave you hanging.
Right.
They actually, like, walk you through it. They give you insights into what the interviewers are really looking for, you know?
So it's like less about just memorizing answers, more about understanding how to present yourself, right?
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's about showing them you can do the job, that you're passionate about it.
Passion goes a long way, especially in a field like this. But okay, let's say you've aced the interview. You're officially a dairy products manufacturing worker. What are we telling our listeners, who maybe right now are just, I don't know, making a shopping list, about this career path?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is it's way more than meets the eye. Like we've talked about the tech, the innovation, but it's also about tradition, hard work, really paying attention to the detail.
It's a blend, right? The old and the new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's constantly changing, which can be a challenge, but also makes it exciting.
So for anyone listening who's like, okay, dairy, that's row, like milk, cheese, yogurt, what's so exciting about that?
Right.
There's actually a lot going on beneath the surface.
Big time. And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be the one to like invent the next big cheese craze or revolutionize how we think about sustainable dairy production.
There you go. See, I told you, dairy product manufacturing more than meets the eye. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.